Ladies and gentlemen, you are witnessing the best ball breakdown with myself, Scott Barrett, Fantasy Football Writer of the Year nominee, Graham Barfield, Chris Wecht, not nominated for anything, Jake, Fantasy Writer of the Year award winner. The winner is our special guest today. We had our wires crossed. I think this was supposed to be a Graham week, but I just couldn't let a Jake week pass without being here to bask in his presence. Ladies and gentlemen, long overdue. The prodigal son, Jake Tribbey, has returned. Fantasy Football Writer of the Year, the number one USFL, XFL expert. There are literally 0 people in the world who know more about USFL and XFL than Jake Tribbey. Let's party, boys.
Yeah, really appreciate you having me on. Appreciate the warm intro. Don't appreciate you throwing my boy Chris under the bus there, but I think we can get past that.
We should nominate Chris for an award. I mean, honestly, he's won all the awards in our hearts this year. That's what matters.
That's true. Chris is the man. Like, I don't think people understand all the stuff Chris does behind the scenes. Chris is like my favorite Fantasy Points employee, and I love everyone here. So
yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the new product, but without Chris, we would not have this new product.
Well, I keep telling you guys endearingly that Chris and Jake and Ryan and me, I feel like we're the piss boys.
Scott, I come on.
If you haven't listened to Jordan Rodriguez's brilliant Play Callers podcast series, it's phenomenal. Talks about the piss boys: Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel, Matt LaFleur, Mike McDaniel. I don't know. I feel like I'm missing someone. Oh, Sean McVay. Yeah, and they were the piss boys. And I feel like we're the piss boys. It was just like brilliant. All these brilliant minds coming together, talking football, bouncing ideas off of each other. And that's what it feels like to me, the Piss Boys.
We really need a better nickname, I'm going to say, Scott. Please.
Urine Gentleman?
No self-respecting person can call themselves a piss boy, especially a urine. What'd you say, urine gentleman?
The Urine Gentleman.
Oh, God.
Scott,
do you have any better ideas, Chris?
Wants to hear this?
I don't know. I'm just you asked me to come on and show off the data tool, and then you open the show by saying Chris not nominated for anything. What is this?
Well, step your game up, Chris. Like this is the number one fantasy football writer of the year. I was top 4, but this is Jake's show. Really, he's the star power today. Back to the Piss Boys, though. Back to the important stuff. Everyone knows I'm Kyle. I'm Kyle Shanahan. So the question, Chris, is: are you Sean, Matt, or Mike?
Man, I'm gonna. I
feel like you're Sean because like you've surpassed me in many ways and constantly get the better of me.
Yeah, he's won a Super Bowl too.
Well, maybe that's Jake. Jake has the hardware. I don't.
Yeah, I think that's what that has.
Jake also doesn't remember to turn his mic off mute. Chris, I thought we were showing the data tool. I thought this is going to be the grand unveil of the data tool, and you got a sidetrack talking about Urine Gentleman. What's going on here? This is an exclusive sneak peek at the Fantasy Points data tool, which is going to revolutionize the industry. Don't believe me? I tweeted that out. Dan Back, CEO of Roto Grinders, quote tweeted it. He was like, he's right. I looked at it. So often things fail to live up to the hype, but no, this is a revolutionary, game-changing product. So, Chris, why don't you show us what we got?
All right. Yeah. Thomas can switch us to share my screen, and then we can take a look.
By the way, Dan Brown, shout out to the GOAT, Dan Brown.
There we go.
What is this?
Scott, Dan Brown is asking for you to speak in third person for the rest of the show.
Oh, and Scott can do that all day.
Oh, I was about to say Scott does that in his sleep. So let's be honest.
All right. Let's play a little game here. I'm gonna have each of you give me a football situation, something that happens on a play to filter by. We'll start with our guests.
Are you in passing right now?
Yeah, we're gonna do passing. Jake, your mic's muted.
Oh my God, who is this?
Oh, there we go. All right. Give me Patrick Mahomes completion percentage over expected on trick plays in 11 personnel.
All right. So as you can see, Jake just gave us a pretty lengthy description of what you can do with this stat. So all your personnels are in here. You said 11, right?
Yep.
So you can filter for as many or as little personnels that you want. You wanted a trick play on. That's, your jet motions, your wildcats, anything that is, not a normal snap and handoff to a running back or drop back by the QB. Was there something else, or was it just that?
Just completion percentage over expected, which I believe is one of our default columns.
Let's get Mahomes up there. It is. If I remember where it is.
You just passed it. It's so right. CPOE. I mean, this is the one stat that almost broke fantasy points data for some reason. I would have figured you would have known where to find it. It's right there. You keep
No, that's
PROE.
Where is it?
Damn.
Oh, there it is. It's at the front.
Past the ADOT.
So it's actually not good on trick plays.
Wait, scroll out and just look at all trick plays. Like who ran the most trick plays last year?
So the reason why that would show up that way is because like trick plays are a little more difficult than the implied like -2 ADOT. -2 ADOT is basically like a shovel pass, so it's like really hard to have a low completion percentage. But if it's a trick play, I guess it's a little more of a complicated play.
Wait, Chris, look at just all trick plays for all personnel. I just want to see who actually ran the most.
Could we also show the people the depth of the filters? Because I think that's probably one of the most impressive things beyond just pulling random stats here.
Yeah, it was Mahomes.
Yeah, it was Mahomes. Because they do those end zone jet little pop passes and stuff. 125 passer rating. That's definitely the end zone stuff.
Oh, I don't know that we've ever said this on this show, but Chris is easily the smartest football mind here. Like he doesn't
Without question.
Like content is just like a passion project for him, but he's also like he also did the XFL projections, but he's a data charter, so he charts data. It's him and Brett are like the two geniuses of that department. Like one of the best film watchers. Like he'll have good fantasy takes from watching tape, and then he also was like the leading figure behind building this product and making it as insanely cool as it is. Like that wasn't a joke. Like Chris is easily the unsung hero of fantasy points and easily the smartest football mind in this room.
I appreciate that. It's always fun when you ask Brett or I a football question and you think it might mean something, and then we say, no, that's not how it works in football.
Oh man, you got to throw me under the bus. Yeah, it's that happens quite a lot where you guys have to teach me like, no, Scott, a go route means the exact same thing as I don't know. What's another name for go route? I don't even know.
A nine
route. Yeah. 9 route. Yeah. Just, any of your vertical routes are all kind of the same at the end of the day. But yeah, as Jake was saying, the filtering you can do with this thing is you've never seen anything like it. Is really the only way I can say it.
We've got one from Ernest Marks, I think. He's asking to look at red zone targets. So you could just go what yards to goal.
Oh, he's asking for touchdowns negated due to penalty. Chris and I have spent a lot of time talking about plays. Yeah. We're adding that. That's the thing is like this is already the best tool on the market by a wide margin, comparable only to things you'd spend $150,000 for. But the thing is like, we're also adding to it every single week and beefing it up and adding. Chris and I had an hour-long conversation yesterday talking about our coverage shells matchup tool. That's going to be absolutely off the chain. I got one for you, Chris. We're just going to stay in advanced passing. All quarterbacks, dome games, under pressure, against any coverage shell except for cover 2.
Zone games under pressure.
Under
Let's
weather.
see. And all coverages but cover 2. That is unique.
This is going to be a new article series.
I mean,
right
you know
here.
what we should have done? We should have done stuff like people actually care about, like, oh, Jerry Jeudy averaged 5 yards per route run against cover 1. And it's like, no, let's just do things that are like insane that no one would ever look up. But we have it.
It's fun to just say that you have it. So obviously,
You didn't do
filter by-
qualifiers. Just
yeah.
to hit yards. I just want to know who had the most yards into this. Justin Herbert. Look
Herbert.
at that. So now you know if he's in a game in a dome where he's likely to be pressured and the defense doesn't play a lot of cover 1, that's the Justin Herbert game, folks.
I mean, he literally almost doubled up Kirk Cousins' yards, so it's true.
All right, leave this up, Thomas. Raheem Mostert, 4th quarter rushing yards on the road versus division opponents in 4 p.m. games as an under. We have it. We
It'll
actually
do
might
it.
not have 4 p.m. games just because like that doesn't really matter.
No, we do.
Oh, we
Oh
do.
man, we do.
We do.
Look
My
at
guy
us.
wants a sample size of 6 carries.
Hey, those 6 carries matter. They matter, Jake.
This has
Fourth
been
quarter.
2 years in the making. This has been
road.
so much money spent on this, and I couldn't be any prouder of the product. Like this, it just listen. I'm the CEO of Fantasy Points now. I was formerly director of Dank Stats.
Yeah.
I'm like I have a bunch of Dank Stats shirts in the closet. You think I'm not going to come correct when it comes to Dank Stats?
Chris, you need
Of
to
course I
change
am.
the division to division.
Miami,
Division
right?
game. No.
Oh, in division. Yeah.
Yeah, in division.
That's the better way to do it. You could do it both. You can do things multiple ways.
Yeah, look at that. You can split by complete all division.
Oh, we're doing
divisions
rush.
are-
I'm also.
Oh,
well,
all
we're
right.
doing
Well,
passing.
here it is for passing. Just pull up a rushing page to just show we have rushing.
I
was
think
gonna-
it's
I was
very
gonna-
important to emphasize what a big time saver this is going to be for literally everyone. Like right now, if you're only using publicly available tools and not like, the SIS or, some business to business tools, it
Which
takes
are
forever to
15K.
pull stats. Yeah,
Yeah.
it takes it
And it's
takes
better
a
than that.
tremendous amount of time and a ton of different websites. Like we're talking probably $1,000 a year to get this equivalent amount of data just from customer facing products. Like
Yeah.
it's truly mind blowing just from a time saving perspective. I mean, me, Scott, Chris, and Graham all write articles. This is going to save us a ton of time. Like that's what I'm excited about. is,
Legitimately,
all
every
the work
fantasy analyst in the industry is going to be using Fantasy Points data.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they won't have a choice. I mean, it's better than PFF's publicly available tools. It's better than what SIS sells to businesses. Like this blows pretty much everything out of the water. And we've
And
all
by the
used
way-
like everything that's out there.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, all of this is downloadable to CSV. So if you want to do any, research in Excel, you can get a quick CSV. It's all very clean. I've probably downloaded 50 CSVs already. It's been awesome. And Jake, you're right. The time saving mechanism, like not only if you're not, you can just play, whatever, have a couple fantasy leagues, just be a better or whatever. Like this is going to save you time with your research in all facets, not just fantasy.
Well, not
Chris, can
just
you-
that, but like thinking about what we could add from a fantasy perspective. Like that's why it's going to
It's literally limitless.
everything else out of the water is because like we're attacking this from a fantasy football perspective. We know exactly what to add. Like this is going to be perfectly detailed for fantasy football players, which is awesome.
Let's see if the Derrick Henry cold weather games are actually. Well, he missed how much of the time did he miss last year? Well, we can.
He didn't miss any time last year. He missed 8 games the year before.
Chris, I have a big question for you. Why isn't this in dark mode? What is wrong
Ooh,
That's a
you.
great question.
Dark
I was
mode for
thinking
the
that
night
too.
owl.
We have
There
it.
we
Okay.
go.
Yeah.
Chris, can you show the bell cow report and then we'll move on from this. So again, we're going to be adding more and more tools to this as things go on. But this is something I've kept in a spreadsheet for, 8 years. This is, again, with running backs, you just chase opportunity. It's the most important thing. All that matters is XFP and snap percentage. That's it. Can you split by week, Chris? And again, this is one split we'll have. We're going to end up having like 15 different splits. So you just want to look at volume. What matters to me is snap share, carry share, route share, target share, XFP share. And so this, now you have it. You have it on the season long level. You have it on the week level. Chris, you want to show the people at home who had the highest snap share in any given week? Spoiler alert, it was Cam Akers, I believe, in week 17 with 100%. That's massively important. So like every week I'm looking at this and I'm seeing which running back saw a dramatic increase in volume or decrease in volume. And this is just one of the many tools we offer. Chris and I are also working on an O-line versus D-line matchups tool, a coverage shells matchup tool, and we're just going to keep adding, beefing this up. Again, this is the most incredible thing you've ever seen, anyone's ever seen. And if you disagree, you're just wrong.
James Conner with the 4 weeks in the top 10.
Yeah.
It wasn't a coincidence. I had him in DFS every single one of those weeks. Let me tell you that.
It'll happen again this year until he breaks.
Yeah.
No.
I also finally built out a model for this that like takes snap share as a variable, target share as a variable, carry share as a variable, and spits out projected fantasy points. I don't know why that took me so many years to do it, but finally have that.
You can
Scott,
even do.
I know we've noted how expensive some of the competitors' tools are. How much is the Fantasy Points data suite going to cost me?
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked, Jake. Believe it or not, it's only $50 for all of 2023. That price is going to rise in 2024 to $200. Still an insane value, but because I'm a man of a people, because I want to crush our competition and hear the lamentations of their women, it is only $50 for the full year.
Will there ever be a free trial period for people who are on the fence about spending $50?
Believe it or not, Jake, there is a free trial, and it lasts the entire week of 7/17 to 7/21, whatever it is.
Hey.
7/24, close enough.
Yeah, I'm bad at basic
7
math,
days.
but luckily I have,
don't have to do
fantasy
it
points data to do it for me.
You don't have to do basic math anymore. Hey.
All right, let's we don't want to show too much off before next week. We'll hop into a draft here. Just give me 1 second to switch back there. All right, we're going to hop into Best Ball Mania 4 draft. I'm going to hit the enter button now if you want to get in and draft with us. Jake, how's your Best Ball summer been going so far?
It's been going really well. I've gotten most of my action down on DK, but I've done quite a few underdog drafts as well. I am loaded up on Anthony Richardson and Jerome Ford, and I'm pretty excited about it. Let me tell you. But yeah, no, I mean, I think like the industry's thriving. It's awesome to see these massive prize pools, especially with DFS, really plateauing in terms of growth, like seeing best ball just explode. I think we're headed, to a future where people drop every season long league that isn't like their one or two most important and, just load up on best ball drafts. I mean, even my friends who are more casual fantasy football players are starting to get into best ball, have been these last, season, 2 seasons. So, I'm really excited about best ball. I'm excited for the season. I think it's a way better way to get action down right now than a lot of futures bets. I'm loving it. I'm loving the drafts.
Yeah, no limits on underdog too, which is nice. Can't get a lot of action down on futures bets now. I'm just imagining somebody at underdog is like going through a Rolodex of various types of dogs and just like scratching off each one as they go through. They're eventually going to get to like literally every single dog out there before
like Derrick Henry.
Yeah, they'll literally just call it the Derrick Henry 1.
What's the most needed dog contest that hasn't existed yet, you guys think?
What's your favorite dog?
Golden Retriever.
Same golden retriever. Yeah.
I don't think they've done
Need
that
the
one yet,
retriever.
have they?
The
Yeah.
retriever.
Yeah.
I like that. Get on it, underdog. Come on.
Scott, you
Jake.
seem like a Chihuahua kind of guy.
I really am. I like tiny dogs. I had a golden retriever, didn't like it.
What?
So here's what happened to me. I had a amazing dog like when I was 4 years old. It died. I literally cried for 6 days. Nonstop. My father didn't know what to do. He like went to Blockbuster, or no, he custom ordered like a video that you give to kids after they lose a pet, and I like watched it 20 times in a row, like helping your child cope with the grief of losing a dog. And like from that point on, I just couldn't with animals. I gave too much of my heart to this dog. And then my ex-girlfriend had the best dog ever. It wasn't a dog. It was like a beautiful princess trapped in a dog's body. It was like a magic dog. And then we broke up. And so now like, I'm just like so over pets. Like it's just my heart's been crushed, not by that girl, by the dog, and I'll never recover. So I'm just not a dog person. That's what it is. But yeah, it was like a tiny dog. It was pretty great.
I mean, if you care more about losing the dog than the girl, that's a good thing, man. Very good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty alpha.
Yeah. What pick did we get here?
The 1-6.
Yeah.
So the
Perfect.
Travis Kelce debate will be live again.
Wow,
Okay.
that's insane value if he falls to us, getting the 101 at 106.
I agree, Scott.
Really?
I have been taking a ton of Kelce. I'm curious. So for you guys on teams where you draft Kelce, what percentage of those teams are one tight end builds?
The
0.
only time I've done it is the
Yeah.
one that Scott did on here when we
0.
did 5 puppies at
Yeah.
once.
For me, it's like 80%.
I love that. Love it.
Yeah, especially in the Pomeranian where 3 out of 12 advance, it's going to be 100%. And I took them, starting at like the 1.04. So I have like 35% Kelce.
That's why you're my favorite piss boy.
I'm glad I'm not losing out to
You're in-
Ryan. I feel like he's gaining on me.
That's why you're my Mike McDaniel for sure.
Jake, doesn't it worry you though? You play a ton of DFS. You get how ownership works and whatnot. In the playoff weeks, if Kelce is who you need, isn't he going to be like near 100% owned by the time you get to the final?
Yeah, and that's fine. And I'll make up for it with an extra receiver or an extra running back. So yeah, and I mean, like if you take Kelce in the first round and he doesn't end up being the guy you need, like that second tight end is not going to help you. So you're already screwed.
So we're going Kelce here, I take it.
I mean, any objections, Graham?
Nope.
You're the guest of honor, Jake.
Not over Eckler. Yeah. I'm good with it.
I mean, Eckler's in play at 101 for me as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've had Kelce at 6 after the big 4 receivers in McCaffrey all summer. I get your entire argument, by the way, for taking Kelce, at 103 or 104, but the 101 Scott has always been an absurd take.
Oh yeah, you can't take him over Chase and Jefferson. I think that's. If you want like 70% exposure to a first round guy, probably not, right?
Well, it's not just that. It's like Jefferson and Chase in totality have much higher weekly scoring ceilings than Kelce does.
Yeah,
I mean,
40. I don't think Kelce can.
If we were doing 100 drafts, I would treat this differently, but we just do one draft per week.
Yeah. Hey, well, we got your boy, and you know what? You'll probably campaign for Justin Ross in a little bit too.
I would love a Kelce Mahomes, and then we're done at those positions. I would love that draft.
I've done the Mahomes Kelce, and every single time I hate my receivers. Like it is so hard to pull off.
You know what? That's a fair point.
I think that is the good like counter argument, like spending your first 2 picks on quarterback, tight end, especially with how many receivers are coming off the board. I mean, there's no one left by the time you get there in the 3rd round.
I mean, I'm excited about Quentin Johnson too, but I do not want him as my wide receiver 3. Like, no, thank you.
Are there any game stacks you guys have been targeting outside of Kansas City, Cincinnati for week 17?
Yeah, Dallas, Detroit is super easy. A lot of different ways to go there. I love Tony Pollard this year. So Pollard with Jamison Williams, Pollard with even Sam Laporta. You can go Pollard with Gallup, bring back with one more lines guy. I think Cardinals Eagles is really sneaky too, especially if Kyler's healthy. If we get a healthy Kyler in that game, week 17, that game could definitely go to the moon.
I've been loving Miami and Baltimore.
That's the one I was going to bring.
Yeah,
up.
I don't have enough of that. Yeah.
They combined for like 80 points last time they played. I mean, and I love pretty much everyone on both offenses except for Odell Beckham. So
it's so easy to get either Waddle or Tyreek, and then you grab Lamar or Andrews, whatever the way it falls, and then you can stack another Raven wide receiver later so easily.
Tyreek too. Like people argue for Kupp as like a potential 1.01 pick. Tyreek, I think, is really underappreciated in that regard. I mean, no one can match his single game ceiling. I guess Chase and Jefferson get close, but even so.
Scott, I think you tweeted this out, but you're right. I mean, Chase, Jefferson, Kupp, and Hill. Like if you do projections, all 4 project reasonably closely, and then you're really just like splitting hairs between the 4.
if you assume all quarterbacks play 17 games,
You're right.
like they're the exact same. They're just the same.
I think Cup is just still a tier ahead.
That's yeah.
I think just because that defense is going to be so bad, if you can guarantee me 16, 17 games of Stafford and he's still like 75, 80% of what he was.
I mean, he's coming off of an injury himself, but yeah. It's just like he's shown a ceiling that only Jerry Rice compares to.
Basically, yeah. So we'll have a choice of backs here.
I mean, I love the backs in this.
But we're talking game stacks. One weird way I like to build with Kelsey is to take T. Higgins, which damn it, but
yeah, this is not the ideal start. We're gonna have a rough. If we don't take Devontae Smith, it's gonna look rough in round 3.
You want to just take Mahomes, load up on wide receivers, and then go 0 RB? Like that's fun.
Yeah,
that gets the juice flowing.
That. I'd rather lead into Mahomes.
Yeah. And then no more quarterbacks, no more tight ends, quantity over quality. And so it's crucial then that we nail a late round league winning wide receiver. I have one guy who I think fits the build by the name of Justin Ross. Anyone stand out to you guys?
Sky Moore. I think if you're building Mahomes teams and you need a mid round, late round receiver, I think Sky's like the guy that you can build a case around. So analytically speaking, Rashee Rice's profile is just littered with red flags. We actually kind of liked Sky Moore as a prospect.
I didn't.
Yeah, I know you didn't, Scott, but like,
yeah.
Relative to Rashee Rice, like he was a better prospect.
For sure, definitely.
I like how Graham just totally passed over Scott already bringing up Justin Ross in the mid-second round.
Scott, there's a good chance he doesn't make the team, man. Like Richie James might make the team over him, which would be a devastating day for you.
You forget that I'm from the future.
You are. It's true.
What was I going to say? Yeah, Chris, you want to make the case for Kyle Phillips? I mean, we can save it for the end, but I really liked your reasoning there, and was curious why we don't have a ton of exposure to him.
Yeah, Phillips was he was a guy that I know I liked coming out of the draft. I know Brett was high on him in the draft 2 years ago. He gets drafted in the 4th or 5th round by the Titans. I forget exactly. Plays, I think, 1 game last year and then gets hurt for the rest of the season. So we basically didn't see him play. But the Titans, I mean, I don't have to tell you what the Titans wide receiver room looks like. He's competing with Treylon Burks, who might be more of a tight end than a wide receiver, and basically nobody else. So he, if he's good, there's no reason he won't get on the field. I know you're high on Tannehill, as Tannehill could be like a sneaky top, 12 QB this year. And, somebody's got to catch the ball from him. That offense has supported AJ Brown and Corey Davis at times. So there's, if we're talking guys that we can pretty much guarantee will make the team and have a realistic shot to play, I think he fits that build.
Keenan Allen is the obvious wide receiver here, but I do love me some Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I think Derrick Henry's probably the pick unless you guys really want to go wide receiver.
Yeah, no, Henry for hero, and then we'll just go nuts at receiver.
So yeah, this is gonna be gross at wide receiver.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Let's ride. Kyle Phillips.
Let's have the entire lineup hinge on Justin Ross.
We'll take 10 receivers. We can easily do it.
We're gonna be reaching for like Cortland Sutton around ahead of ADP.
When you get a 130 catch guy in Kyle Phillips and a 1,500 yard receiver in Justin Ross for free, you can really afford to punt wide receiver early.
Nah, I love your Kyle Phillips take, Chris, especially in PPR. He's free. And DK, free on drafters. The touchdowns will concern me with this whole offense besides Henry, but yeah, he could definitely hoover up like 90 targets.
We could have the QB1, tight end 1, and running back 1 on the roster right now, though.
Wow. Incredible. Who needs wide receivers?
Yeah. When you're getting 80 points a week from these 3. We have to go for upside here in the 3rd round. If Christian Watson is on the board, like he's the guy.
Love me some Christian Watson this year.
Yeah.
I think this is super interesting what Bet Karma did, because it's pretty much impossible to stack Andrews and Lamar right now. You take, I guess he chose to take Andrews before Lamar, and then you take Lamar in the 3rd.
Yeah. I've seen that too with Tyreek for the game stack too, which makes sense as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd be more willing to do that in the puppy or like a Pomeranian.
Yeah, because if ADP shifts later in the year, then you could have it be more expensive than everybody else that's able to get it.
Right.
Is there any, now that we're, training camp's about to start, who are you like, do you guys have somebody you're like, oh, this guy is going to get steamed up as, news, like somebody that sticks out to you?
I was just thinking of that today with the news that Christian Watson's off the board, that the Jets are going to be doing Hard Knocks. Who would be the guy to skyrocket up? Yeah. I mean, Rodgers, I think, will jump. Lazard, I think, will jump.
I mean, if Hard Knocks is showing Breece Hall is like looking healthy, good, people are going to be so excited about that.
Yeah, Breece is the obvious one. I think Kyle Pitts is another one too. Everybody will see that he's healthy. He's going around pick 70, 72 now. I think Pitts will be another guy.
Questionable tag on DraftKings, which is making him fall to like pick 80 a lot of the times. Yeah, it's insane.
Your article on Kyle Pitts was great, and it really infuriates me because I was high on Kyle Pitts last year, and you were low on him, and now you're high on him, and I'm low on him. So I just know that this is the breakout year.
I just was never going to buy him in the third round. I just, I thought that was a little much, but now he's over. It's now to a point where he's completely overcorrected. I mean, God, we got Drake London going at 39 overall, and Kyle Pitts will go at 70 tonight.
To me, I like him. I like him a lot. It's just I like Darren Waller so much that I just have so much more Darren Waller.
By the way, rookie mistake on my part. I should not have said Watson, but there's a low chance we get him anyway. There's someone I love here between these next two. So.
Well, Watson's off the board.
The other guy I was going to say is McLaurin. I think McLaurin has top 10 upside this year.
He's definitely my favorite wide receiver here.
In the fourth round, he's my favorite wide receiver.
Kirk maybe as well.
Yeah, I think you have to go McLaurin here. I've been taking a lot of Jahan Dotson. I really like Dotson. McLaurin's fine though. I mean, I'm more than good with it.
Dotson was like quietly out alphaing him over the second half when Dotson got back to full health.
And I know a lot of film guys just like gush over Dotson.
I love Dotson too. I mean, but if we just look at consistency, McLaurin, he's
underwhelmed versus ADB every year of his career.
Right. But he's also dealt with the stone worst quarterback play. And I actually think Jacoby Brissett is going to start. And
I think that's an interesting take.
No, I think if you're drafting some of these Commanders guys, like you should be thinking or hoping that Brissett plays, because I mean, in terms of Sam Howell, like, has a long way to go, man. Like that last game of the year last year was rough for him. I get he's got the mobility. I get he's got a little bit of pocket awareness, but Brissett was legit good last year. And I think Ron Rivera's trying to save his job. And that's my biggest thing is, like, if Rivera's trying to save his job, he's not going down with the ship with Sam Howell. Like he's going to try to put somebody in there he thinks he can kind of win with.
I don't know. I think he kind of believes in Howell, at least right now.
If that's true, then why didn't Howell start until the final game of the year?
Exactly. And there's quotes out there, Chris, that Rivera's like, yeah, he's our starter, but that's only in like the first part of the season. It very much seems like he's the guy until maybe week 4. And if he's not good, then they're going to put Brissett in there. And Brissett, by the way, was legit good last year. Like he was better than Deshaun Watson. That's not a hot take. It's just correct.
I mean, in catchable target rate, he was like first or second, right? He was way up there.
Pretty good in avoided sacks too. Like pocket presence was there. I think he's better than Wentz. Brissett is. So this is where it gets gross, though. This is where we're going to have to feel pretty disgusting about one of these receivers.
I like Deontay Johnson. I like Marquise Brown. I think they're phenomenal values.
I've been hammering Marquise Brown here. That's like the one guy I like. You got to sell me on Deontay.
I'll do that in a second. Jay, can you make the call?
Let's go Marquise Brown. I like his upside a lot more than Deontay's, especially, single week upside. I think is stronger there.
Okay. So after you made the wrong decision, allow me to sell you on Deontay Johnson now that it's too late. So I wrote in the XTD article, like, obviously like one of the biggest touchdown regression candidates ever because he had 147 targets, 0 touchdowns, only wide receiver with at least 110 and no touchdowns. He was also inefficient by yards per target. But the thing is, it's volume that drives fantasy production. He ranked 14th in targets per game last year. Over the previous 2 seasons, he led the league in healthy games, 10.8 targets per game. And why is he getting all these targets? Why was he getting all these targets last year despite the poor inefficiency? It's because he's elite at getting open. By ESPN's open rate, he led the league last year. He's ranked top 4 in every single season since he entered the league. To me, he's one of the most glaring regression candidates ever. Yes, Matt Canada is still the offensive coordinator. Yes, Canada sucks. Canada is the worst. That's a shout out to you, Thomas Tipple, who resides in Winnipeg. Yeah, Matt Canada is the worst, but yeah, there's just no way he doesn't regress the mean. Like I think a high-end wide receiver 2 finish is very likely. The good news is Marquise Brown, like he's going to be a volume hog. He's a really, I've always said, is a high-level talent. So that's a fine trade-off right there.
My main reason I'm bullish on Hollywood, main reason I'm drafting him a ton in the 5th, is because I think Kyler, the consensus on Kyler is just completely wrong. I think the whole community is just completely written him off like he's going to miss 10, 12 games this year. And I just think that's wrong. Like, I think Kyler will be back by week 5 or week 6. He'll be 9-10 month removed by week 9, week 6.
Kyler starts more games at shortstop than he does quarterback over the next 3 seasons. I mean, I'm mostly joking, but it's just Greg. When you hear Greg Cosell talk about this guy, you'd think he's I don't know, a poor man's Baker Mayfield. Like it's bad. It's really bad. And
the Yankees are chomping at the bit to give Kyler a huge contract. You just know it.
I think Arizona is tanking for Caleb Williams, and then they're going to struggle to offload that contract. But we're on the clock.
I mean, if we go down
Kadarius Toney, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, what are we doing here?
We gotta.
Oh God, we're reaching for Kadarius Toney.
Well, Chris, have you seen the recent news on Kadarius?
No. What does he not want to play anymore?
He's threatening to assault Giants fans in his DMs. Multiple. He's asking for them to drop.
Hacked. Come on.
He's asking them to drop their low, which means location, so he can drive there and beat them up. Listen, the guy can't stay healthy. He's a total nutcase. He's also going to finish as the wide receiver 7 this year. Median projection is rich man's Mecole Hardman. I don't care. I think he breaks leagues this year. It's such a total fluke outlier that like there was no fantasy wide receiver 1 from the Chiefs last year. The way they talk about this guy, and Brett Veach isn't a liar. Brett Veach, like before Mahomes started his 2nd ever game, he was saying like, this is the greatest football player I've ever watched. He's now saying, no. Kadarius is our wide receiver 1. He could do it all. He wasn't used as a deep threat, but he could do that really well. He's going to be their Tyreek Hill. He's going to get all of those shovel pass touchdowns. By the way, Mahomes averages like 15 per year. I think he's going to be famous last words. I think he's going to break leagues this year.
There's a real chance Kadarius does, in which case a lot of people are going to be deleting tweets. I've always been a big Kadarius fan. Like, you know that. My biggest question, Scott, is like, we don't know if he can line up outside and consistently beat man.
So I think he can. That one game where he had like 187 yards, he was out wide like 75% of the time. Because I said he was a must play for DFS that week because the slot corner was so bad. And then he played outside the whole time and he just dominated. Who knows?
It's one of those things where it remains to be seen. I'm 100% with you on the logic that at ceiling he is their
no, not Darren Waller. This is a Kelsey team. Rashad White, I guess, stands out to me. Or
I'd rather take Pierce and just take the value.
I think I'd prefer Pierce.
Okay. That works for me.
Yeah, I'm good with Pierce.
I also think given this build, like Toney just makes too much sense. Where we're going to be wide receiver weak. We have Mahomes.
See, this is the way I think through best ball teams. Like, I'm in on Toney, but let's say I'm not. Like, let's say I'm with you, Chris. If we're already all in on Mahomes, we're already all in on Kelsey. Just build like you think the Chiefs are going to smash. In which case, if that happens, if Toney stays healthy for 14, 15 games, like he's absolutely going to beat ADP. And then it comes down to like what extent. Because if you tell me Tony stays healthy for 14 to 15 games, he's going to absolutely crush mid wide receiver 3 pricing, right? Like,
yeah, and for a build like this, you do need like a massive ADP beater at the wide receiver position for it to hit. And like when people talk about stacking these days, where it's all like people who memorize like week 17 schedules, like Chris, I say like, yeah, that matters. That's important, but it's also like the team level stacks are a little underrated. Like in 2018, who would have won the underdog tournament? It would have been whoever had the most Chiefs players, whoever had the most Mahomes, Kelsey, Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill. And it's like, okay, these guys are expensive now, sure. But it's also just like, there's power law teams, just like there's power law players. And like, we could really see an absolute, eruption from that offense this year. And why shouldn't we?
Yeah.
You know how
It's
many
the most likely team for that.
You know how many routes Tony ran on the outside last year versus man coverage?
Let me guess.
Real quick, does it matter because they got rid of their 2 slot wide receivers?
Let me guess. Our legitimate guess. I'm going to say 11.
Wow, you almost nailed it. 10.
Fuck.
You overshot it. Graham. Yeah, but I mean, Juju's not there anymore. Hardman's not there anymore. Those are the guys running slot.
By the way, that's
all the other receivers are bad. That's like
a big.
That's
the
the argument.
Yeah.
They have Kadarius, they have Justin Ross, and they have no one else.
Yeah.
No one's calling me on that. All right.
I mean, I'm just gonna let it go at this point.
Right.
Yeah. Well, what can you do?
Just gonna beat you into submission. All right. Elijah's here. This is nice.
Chris, I'm gonna need you to sneak in Richie James as our 18th round, or actually, better yet, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You and I have talked about this.
Oh God. Not another Clyde guy.
Check. I mean, I don't understand how CEH's ADP doesn't jump like 5 rounds.
He's the only guy healthy.
Yeah.
Look, we were burned so hard on CH, Scott.
All right, real quick. I'm sorry. We have an important discussion here. Michael Thomas, do we need another high upside wide receiver, or fuck, Javonte just went off the board? Dalvin as like the least cooked free agent who's getting legitimate offers.
Not a back. I think
I like Jameson or Thomas.
Yeah, I'm good
over
with
Thomas.
Either or, they're both high upside.
Yeah. Okay.
Thomas is fine. I'm good with Thomas too here for this.
Again, this is a tournament style league. I do not care about the suspension.
Thomas is fine.
Chat wants JMO. And Chris said nope.
Everyone else said Thomas.
I got a question for you guys regarding Alvin Kamara, because I keep going back and forth on this. Like I was talking to John, and like 2023 Kamara is the least John Hansen guy ever, who like John just gets rid of. He's just like done with old running backs when the second they turn 25, decline in efficiency. By every measure, it seems he's cooked. The drafted Kendre Miller, who I love, he's going to be suspended 4 games. And I think all that's right. And I think it's more his argument's better than mine, but it's just like, I look back at last year and he ranked top 3 in target share, top 3 in route share. And he didn't finish as a fantasy wide receiver RB1. And it just feels like something of an outlier to me. What do you guys think about Kamara at this depressed ADP?
I've been taking him when he slides past ADP, but I'm not jumping out of my shoes, and I'm not jumping out of my shoes now. I mean, I don't think the suspension was ever going to be much longer than 4 games. Maybe there was some talk of 6. My biggest concern is what the touchdowns are going to look like here. I mean, they brought in Jamal Williams, who just had 80% of the Lions inside 5 carries. Taysom Hill has always been an effective red zone back too. Kamara is, in my mind, still the receiving back, to your point, but I think there's a big chance his touchdowns fall off a cliff this year.
Taysom is the question mark for me, because I feel like his usage was high last year, mostly because they didn't have a good answer at QB and they felt like, oh, we'll just get this guy on the field. I think Derek Carr is like pretty decent, and taking him off the field is probably not a good idea. And then in that case, I hope they just don't know what to do with Taysom and don't bring him in. But I'm not too worried about Jamal Williams. There's always been like a second back in New Orleans.
Can you click on running back and then click on wide receiver? Lazard. That's who it is for me. I don't know what you guys think. Oh, Lazard or Penny?
I would do Boyd. And
I would
Yeah.
do.
No,
I would
I like
rather have.
Boyd, especially on a
No,
cheap.
no.
build.
I'm hard vetoing Boyd. He had one game over 12 fantasy points last year, despite Jamar Chase missing.
I'm going Sky here.
I'll
Guys,
allow
we gotta.
Sky. I won't
we
allow
gotta-
Tyler Boyd.
We got to go all the way in here on these Chiefs.
All right,
And this
all
is
right, let's do
we're
it.
not overpaying. I mean, it's not too bad of an overpay.
All right. Okay. Lazard, I think, is seriously underrated. Like Rodgers is the guy who always talks about how important having a wide receiver he trusts, rapport is. He has that. I think if Rodgers is back to who he was before he broke his thumb, which is an MVP caliber quarterback, there's more than enough room to support 2 wide receivers. He glaringly would have been my pick there. Can you just click on Rashad Penny to make me feel a little bit better?
If Rashad Penny gets 200 carries in the Eagles offense this year, does he run for 2,000 yards?
Ooh.
Yeah, for sure. Wait, Jay, can you recap our conversation in DMs the other day
about Rashad Penny?
Yeah, and how his bones are made of overripe bananas.
Yeah, but besides that, he's the greatest running back of all time by
Thank you.
So yeah, you just need to look past the fact that his bones are made of yogurt, and after that, you're cooking.
You just need him to be
I think the
for
Penny
3 weeks.
conversation segues nicely into Gainwell, who's one of my favorite late round picks, because the chances both Penny and Swift play 17 games are like basically 0.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I love Gainwell, especially in PPR. He's starting to really come up in price, though.
I like him.
They're both like 15th round now.
Yeah. Him in PPR is one thing. Him on underdog is a little bit of a tough click for me. I just he's never going to be their goal line guy. I know they liked to use him on third down, run carries and stuff last year, and it felt like it almost never worked.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they would go back to that unless they had to.
There's a real chance he beats Swift for the passing down role. I don't think it's high. I think it's 30. I think it's 35%.
But this is why I like Penny. Is there's redundancy to that role, the scat back plus role there's competition between Swift and Gainwell. But who is in line for the Miles Sanders role? It's Rashad Penny or Trey Sermon or Boston Scott. Give me the guy who ranks second best all time in career yards per carry, who averages 25 fantasy points per game whenever he's given 10 or more touches.
Yeah, I have a huge Penny bag, by the way. He's my second most drafted running back. So I'm 100% with you on that. I do think you can pair both Penny and Gainwell together. I think that's actually really sharp to get both and just bank,
Well, part of the
Swift
problem
gets hurt
too,
and you got the whole Eagles back.
Well, the part of the problem too is game script is amazing, which is an argument for Penny. Philadelphia was favored in every single game last year, so that not a lot of negative game script for the scat back. Also a mobile quarterback. Mobile quarterbacks tend not to target their running backs. The offensive line is best in the league. That's another argument for Penny, and he's fucking off the board. So I have no idea what to do now.
Well,
you can take Tyler Boyd now.
Yeah, we can take Boyd. Chris, click on receivers real quick. So one thing I've been doing a ton of is stacking backs with receivers, just as an easy way to get correlation, especially on teams like oh shit, never mind. There you go. I was just gonna make a case for Nico Collins.
He's there.
Well, he's here, but it's
I'd rather have Mechie personally.
At cost, yeah, but
I mean, not even at cost. I just think he's the best wide receiver on the team. I don't think Nico's good.
No, he is. I still like Nico too, though. I like all these Texans pass catchers. I'm not taking Beckham.
No,
I gotta
pick a guy who's had 4 ACLs.
No,
Damian Harris.
Oh,
yeah.
Herbert, Mitchell.
I like Nico Collins here. We can take Mechie too.
I like Mitchell. Yeah, I like Mitchell.
Okay.
Going back to Kamara, my biggest concern with him, I mean, the touchdowns are a real concern, but he might just be cooked.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
I think he is.
Has fallen a good amount. I mean, and that's where a big part of his value came from, is that he no one could tackle him for 3 seasons.
Yeah, I think the argument the opposite way is you say, okay, maybe Jamal Williams takes off some of those early down carries where he's, maybe getting hit more than he was used to. But I'm with you. All the efficiency metrics, even by yards per out run, like he's definitely fallen off from where he was.
Yeah, it was crazy because he was like the guy who had low volume but insane efficiency, and he just always smashed. So like he was the outlier for me. And then the last 2 years, I'm like, oh, the volume is amazing. Let me keep playing him in DFS. And then he was like insanely inefficient. So he just screwed me. So he's a guy I had insane exposure his rookie year. And then every year after that, he found a way to screw me.
Yeah, so the other top 10 running backs and just raw targets, Eckler, McCaffrey, Stevenson, Barkley, Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon, Jerick McKinnon, DeAndre Swift. So almost all those guys are at least a round 2 or higher pick. Aaron Jones is obviously a little later. Mixon is going later, but not necessarily for talent concerns. So, I mean, volume is going to keep him, especially targets, which we know are more valuable.
Unless it's just the Kendre Miller show. Like that was a prospect I was very high on. But Jerick McKinnon I think is a great pick.
Yeah, I'm on McKinnon here, especially on a Mahomes team.
I don't know if I've drafted McKinnon once since.
Yeah, I have no interest in McKinnon in the 11th round, but on this team, I'm fine with it, especially given these receivers. The only guy I really like in this range is Gallup. I think he's a really solid injury discount. Just really want to get a piece of the Cowboys offense, but I actually think McKinnon's the call on this team. We've got five actually decent receivers.
Jerick McKinnon in playoff weeks last year, 29 fantasy points, 30 fantasy points, 11 fantasy points, 20 fantasy points. And that's half PPR. Like that's just crazy. But again, I do think a lot of those touchdowns could be going to Kadarius.
Are the McKinnon faders taking a lot of Pacheco, or
I'm
taking just loading up on CEH?
It's so gross, dude.
Oh God,
it's so gross.
He's not good, but neither is none of them like are particularly awesome running backs.
Yeah,
Pacheco's not healthy, but I definitely prefer him.
Pacheco is a hard runner, but like that's all he is. Like he runs hard,
but he's also hyper athletic, and he could grow into something else. Like he was tackled the second he touched the ball at Rutgers, so experience is low.
Yeah, he runs like the Tasmanian devil. Like he sometimes doesn't know where he's going, but it looks really fun. My only thing for CEH is like every single year the late round Chiefs running back has like been pretty good. I'm not saying that like logically speaking that applies to this year, but like Pacheco's hurt, McKinnon's 32. CEH, I wrote this up in my late round targets article for Best Ball, but CEH has spent the entirety of his career rehabbing basically. And this is like the first off season where he hasn't rehabbed an injury. So I think that matters to a certain extent.
There was one year where he had like his appendix burst or something. He was like
he had his gallbladder removed.
Yeah, 60 pounds underweight the whole year. I just keep coming back to like Brett Whitefield told me when he was coming out that this was like a mid day 3 level prospect. And I was like, no, I'm drafting him in round 1 because he's on the offense that just scored 60 touchdowns. And Andy Reid said he was better than Brian Westbrook. But yeah, wouldn't it be like so perfect if like he is Brian Westbrook 2.0 the year he's going undrafted?
I mean,
we've heard no chatter about them adding a running back to the. There has been a little bit of generic Prince hype talk as like their returner and going to be active, but like I'm not really buying that.
There's been more DeAndre Hopkins chatter than a running back chatter, so I think they're happy with their room. I'm not saying CH is good, by the way. I mean, I was dead wrong about him as a prospect. Should have listened to the GOAT Brett, but
Jamal Williams led the NFL in rushing touchdowns last year, so you don't have to be awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm just looking for like 3 to 4 usable games out of CEH, and if we can get that from an 18th round pick, I'd be thrilled.
Can you click on wide receiver? Mingo, Thielen, Pierce, and Kendre Miller is available. I did say I liked him.
I'm fine with Mingo or Miller. I've taken a lot of Mingo. It's just wide open in Carolina, but
yeah, I like that. Chris and I were talking about how rookie quarterbacks have a higher first read target share. They just sort of lock on to guys, and maybe that's Thielen, the veteran, or maybe it's a guy who's not cooked like Mingo. I also am like the resident Mingo stan across the industry. I don't even really like him. I was just the only one making like an argument for him, which was that he led the league in yards per route run, and then the tight end got hurt, and he started playing like 33% of his snaps in line, and he sucked from then on. But like, I mean, that's an upside argument. He averaged 100 yards, over 100 yards per game before he had a really serious injury the year before that. So, and again, the NFL loves him. Draft capital is pretty predictive. So,
yeah, I've come around on Mingo too, mainly just because I'm not drafting Thielen. Like, I just can't click it. I can't get there. I know they gave him the money. Man, he's not been good for 2 years. That's not a player archetype I want to chase, especially relative to cost too. Like, there's still an opportunity cost to drafting potentially dusty guys, especially when you're giving up, John Mingo or Marvin.
I mean, this is also a team that could use some just guaranteed points at wide receiver. You want to scroll down, like Terry McLaurin's our wide receiver 1.
MVS. That's what brings this team home here.
I'm down with it.
Yeah, I take MVS over Rice, I think.
Over Pierce?
I take Pierce on a lot of Richardson teams. I'm fine with him. I mean, he's my favorite Colts receiver at cost.
Yes. Yeah, Chris and I were talking about that too. I'm with
Graham,
you.
You wrote an article about stacking and like the amount of guys, and if I remember, it was like 4 guys from the same team was most optimal.
Yeah, four.
A team like the Chiefs, is that different though?
4-player team stacks are basically the nuts in terms of like generating playoff leverage, and especially final round leverage. I think with a team like the Chiefs, though, you just go all the way in. Like, and the Bills, like I think when you draft Josh Allen, I mean, you just load. You can take Shakir, you can take Knox. So go to
Kansas City onslaught. Like, what if they just go fucking nuclear? What if Mahomes has 500
Well,
yards?
there's no one else. Like, I like Pierce, but
I feel like this is somewhat an argument against our build, though. One quarterback, 1 tight end, and we have all these receivers.
It's an argument against Kelsey, is what it is.
Yeah,
it's the argument against Kelsey, right? Yep.
And even Tony, for that matter, a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's right. I just realized, who cares? What's done is done. We could always take a second tight end if need be, or a second quarterback. I can't believe we have. Oh, did we talk about live on the show Jake Tribbey's Tucker Carlson masterpiece, or did we talk about that before we went live?
That was before.
Yeah, that was
okay.
before.
Well, that was a masterpiece. Jake, I just sent you a text. My mom has an idea for your next AI endeavor.
That's certainly an interesting idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose I could make something like that happen.
She said we need to try a sexy AI lady saying she will only date a man who subscribes to Fantasy Points. She's just like convinced that, well, she's right, is that this is an industry dominated by virgins.
This is like a
weird talk to women.
This is like a weird version of Blade Runner. This is now turning into.
It's like the
I mean, Scott, we can make your wildest dreams come true.
I mean, the thing is, she's probably right. There's definitely gonna be like 5 guys out there who's like, really, a woman will talk to me if I subscribe to Fantasy Points? I said, yeah, for sure. They'll wear Fantasy Point shirts, and like all the women at the bar will start like.
I mean,
them.
It's been scientifically proven that subscribing to Fantasy Points will increase your libido by 60%.
Your testosterone by 200%.
Yeah, it's scientifically proven.
I hadn't spoken to a girl before I subscribed to Fantasy. It was a life-changing thing for me, and now I live with one. So
wow,
wow.
How is your mom doing?
She's good. I appreciate you asking.
Yeah. You in the basement right now?
No. This is my office.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm moving up in the
subterranean office. No big deal. We got to have a conversation about Marvin Mims. I mean, I was the Marvin Mims guy. I was like, if I have to stay true to the analytics. This is the second best wide receiver in the class. And someone's commenting Zach Wilson's mom loves Scott. I did have a Zach Wilson tweet on Mother's Day and about my mom, and my mom texted, she's like, what is this? What is this? So yeah, I love Marvin Mims. It's just like, I mean, there's so many fucking wide receivers there. I struggle in redraft. I think Cortland Sutton's cooked, but Cecil Lammey, who's an amazing Denver beat, is saying like he's looked better than he's looked in four years. Jerry Jeudy was clearly the alpha. KJ Hamler's dust. Who's the other one I'm forgetting of?
Tim Patrick.
Patrick. Yeah, I mean,
I've been hearing good stuff on Patrick. So
yeah, that is Russell Wilson's BFF. They're always at the NBA games together. Rashid Shaheed. Is this a me and Ryan thing, or is this a you, me, and Ryan thing?
Nah. I think Rashid Shaheed is a horrible pick on this team. We need Michael Thomas to stay healthy.
Oh, John Mechie, please. Like, I don't care if we're reaching. He's the best wide receiver on the
I was
team.
going to say Mechie or Chark, but ugh.
Chris is a Chark guy. Chris is a
Chark.
big time Chark guy.
But I'll give you Mechie.
I like Chark, but we need Mingo to be the guy in this term type of build.
I do think
that's
we
a
definitely
good high level analysis on the roster construction.
I do think we have to think about taking a tight end, because for this to work, we either we need Kelsey to not be around in the regular season much, and all these KC wide receivers are good picks, or we need Kelsey to disappear in the playoffs, and all these KC guys are
Yeah, can you just click on tight end? The problem is I don't know that there's. Oh yeah,
Hunter Henry, or is he gone?
Trey McBride is decent upside. Hayden Hurst is decent upside.
Yeah, I like McBride for this team.
So I don't even know if we need it to be upside as much as just something we know we'll get points from.
Hurst.
No, you're right. You're right.
Hurst.
Yeah, Hurst it is.
Knox, I think, is pretty awesome as well.
I think there's a really good chance Kincaid just fully cucks him.
Yeah,
I don't think they play the
drafted
same position. I think they are two different players in the Bills' eyes.
That's fine. There's just more target upside for Tyler Conklin or Hayden Hurst.
Did our draft freeze? And oh, by the way, Ninja Gnome still does not have a quarterback.
Interesting.
Yeah, do we need a refresh here?
Uh-oh.
What's going on?
Rashid Shaheed really quickly. Last season was like the 7th best ever season by yards per route run for a rookie. Granted, small sample, but like no one on the top 15 list wasn't a star. And then he also led the league in percentage of catches, gaining 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 plus yards. That's just like perfect for best ball.
If he gets, there you go.
And
I like Rashid Shaheed a lot too, but just for this team, Scott, like we need Michael Thomas to be Michael Thomas one more time, you know?
You're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like Shaheed a lot though. I've been taking Shaheed a lot with Derek Carr late. Super cheap Saints stacks I think are really sharp, especially with their tight ends. Get a little weird with Juwan Johnson and Taysom Hill.
Do you guys actually like Mostert at all?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the market's given him enough credit. Like he could be the starter.
I think Dalvin's an inevitability.
I think Jeff Wilson's the best pick out of all of them.
All right, so there's no agreement there. 5 seconds.
Just take him. Take Mostert. That's fine.
Or Patrick.
That's fine. No, not at this ADP. Not anymore. I love Tim Patrick.
I do
at
like
210
Wilson as well.
I love Tim Patrick at 210. I'm not interested very much at 175 anymore.
That's true.
I don't know. We might not need the second QB. I think that is still okay with what we ended up doing. But I just want to see.
Is Purdy gone?
Late round Ryan Tannehill, Kyle Phillips.
Yeah, Tannehill could work if we wanted to do it.
How many rounds do we have left?
3 more picks. Right?
Yeah.
So one tight end.
Tannehill going after Ritter really hurts my soul.
Oh, we need a Ritter rant from you.
Yeah, so I actually had this prepared beforehand, but I've seen every snap Ritter has ever played, and the discourse on Twitter lately has truly been disgusting. Like I've seen every snap this guy has played since high school. He was a 2-star athlete coming into college. Okay, he was terrible in his first 2 college seasons. My dad loves every single UC player and coach, pretty much no matter what. Hated Ritter early on. Actually hated this guy. Junior and senior seasons, pretty good. Never spectacular. Struggled with accuracy, but he doesn't turn the ball over, so it got us there. But for the purposes of real life football, I actually think Ritter could get Atlanta to the playoffs, if only because the conference and division are so bad. For the purposes of fantasy football, though, like if you're touting him as a pick, you should log off. Like you should stop. Like he's not a good enough rusher to get there on rushing, and the pass volume and his passing ability like isn't going to get him there either. The only legitimate bull case for Ritter is that he's improved by like 5% in every season of his career. He's kind of been on like a Jalen Hurts type trajectory where he just seemingly always gets better no matter what. So maybe you can make a case for him in Dynasty, but in something like Best Ball, like you're insane if you're drafting him. Like you're delusional. Stop. All right.
So when you on your Kyle Pitts, Drake London teams, you're still not taking Ritter?
No, I have a lot of Pitts. I'm barely taking London, not really taking Ritter at all. I've taken him on a couple like 3 quarterback teams just to have some exposure to one of my guys. And like you can't accuse me of bias. I want Desmond Ritter to be successful, but he's not.
It's so hard for me. I love Bijan. I love Drake London. I love Kyle Pitts, and then you just have this horrific quarterback, horrific offensive play caller for fantasy. I watched Alec Pierce's tape, and I like came out of it like loving him. Greg Cosell said he was better than Drake London by a margin, and it's just like he got 0 accurate passes, and he was like always open.
Yeah, way,
no, I mean,
if we want to do
we could take Bryce Young.
I was just about to say, if you want to do a little, we should do it actually.
No, Bryce Young, no, we don't need a second quarter. What's our stack?
Mingo,
and that's it.
And we could take another tight end.
I'd rather take the tight end.
All right, well,
yeah,
because quarterback doesn't contribute to the flex, and we're so all in on take the tight end we talked about. Hurst.
Well, then we should take Young and then take Hurst. Ah, damn it.
Quarterback doesn't contribute to the flex. Like Mahomes is going to be the highest projected quarterback every single week during the playoffs. I really don't think a QB2 matters, but like if we have the 2 stacks, that's viable.
No, I think Scott's right. I think that was the right call. Because on this team, scroll up real quick. Yeah, we still need at least one more. I would ideally want 2. I said we should take 10. Like not jokingly, we should take 10.
Are you fine at running back?
Yeah. We've got Henry in this team build, right? We got Henry as the RB1. Pierce is a solid RB2. Then we've got 3 guys that are the
that have
flex.
spike week upside.
Spike week guys. Completely fine there.
Decent like floor too. Like Mitchell, like even if he's just the RB2, is going to get.
Yeah, and McKinnon's a floor play, so I'm fine with our 5 backs. So I think we should just take 2 more receivers and call it a day.
Kyle Phillips, I'm game. You want to click on wide receiver? Don't try and sell me on a wide receiver, please. On a Giants wide receiver, I'm game for Kyle Phillips, and I'm going to ask this seriously. Justin Ross.
Why don't you like Darius Slayton? He's like
there's 8 different Giants wide receivers, none of which we know
he's actually
any
good.
Certainty are starting.
Darius
the team hates him. They've always hated him.
I don't think
he's been good for a long time and couldn't see the field until 7 wide receivers went down. Sterling Shepard would probably be my favorite, and he has no knees. He doesn't even have a knee.
They actually paid Slayton a little bit of money.
A very little bit. They also paid Paris Campbell more money, and he drafted Jalen Hyatt. And
they paid Slayton 5.5 or 6 mil. I think.
No, maybe they did. I don't know.
Do you know who led the Giants in first read target share from weeks 10?
Probably Darius Slayton, because he's good. They just hate him. It's not my fault.
I don't think they hate him anymore. I think he's the only guy.
That's what first read target share tells you. It tells you who they're designing up plays for.
I think Slayton's a fantastic pick on this team.
Oh god.
Yeah, I'm good going Slayton and then Phillips. Justin Ross is overkill here, Scott. I'm sorry. I say this as someone who has like 20% Justin Ross.
Oh no.
He's just saying this
God,
because
he
he doesn't want.
20,
He doesn't-
20 round drafts on DK, Graham. It's
Okay.
He's just saying
More
this because he
acceptable.
doesn't want to split the $1 million prize 4 ways. He wants his own Justin Ross team to win it. I'm on to you.
Slayton.
Scott, you're very combative today.
This is. Have you
We
watched
don't
the
get
show
a Jake
before,
Tribbey
Jake?
show every week, Jake Tribbey.
Scott has like levels of being ornery. He's like always floating at like a solid like out of 10, like 5 or 6. But then there's days like today where he's spiced it up to a 10. I love it.
Jake brings out the best in me. What can I say?
It's
Yeah,
true.
clearly.
It's true. Can you scroll down real quick, Chris?
Corey
Yeah.
Davis is a nice floor play.
Yeah,
It's a floor play.
What team is he on?
Torch isn't awful.
I was thinking about Corey Davis actually too. You scroll back up, just sorry, real quick.
So I can see what team he's on. Yeah. No interest in Corey Davis. That's a wide receiver 3 by committee. I only want Alan Lazard. We need to look at like guaranteed targets here, I think.
I think he's guaranteed targets.
Robert
by the
Woods.
way.
Then.
Yeah, but as a committee wide receiver 3, I unironically think Kyle Phillips is the best here. I like his upside a lot. You know me, I'm a Treylon Burks hater. He was smashing in targets per route run whenever he was healthy. He just wasn't. Fuck.
Oh my god.
Oh
Why'd
god.
they do that?
Michael Wilson is sort of in play.
Did they have any reason to take him?
You got a little
did.
Tajay Chig.
Chig, yeah.
All right, can we go back and see the ADP list?
The
One of these
father
days, I'm gonna
whale.
break out my cowboy hat for this show. Puka,
Um,
he's another committee wide receiver 3, but he's interesting. Derek's a big fan of him. We'll
I
make
actually
him
like
happy.
I like Tank Dell a little bit for this team if we want to go Texans mini.
He's so small.
I know, but there's some
I think I'd rather do Wilson or Dortch for that matter. Michael Wilson.
for Cardinals. Okay,
Yeah, click on Michael Wilson. I might like him the most of those 3. Also, click on Justin Ross. Like he's really interesting to me.
we can't.
Oh,
do
you almost fell for it.
He's really
You almost fell
interesting
for
to
it.
me.
What about Chosen Anderson at all?
Nah,
You mean Robbie?
You know what? I actually think Michael Wilson is the call because like we need right. If we were talking about Marquise Brown, right? Like we need Brown. No, never mind. Actually, I'm not.
What about Mac Hollins?
Yeah, we need points, honestly, man.
He's gonna be on the field.
We need points.
Just click on Mac Hollins and then
need points.
let the guests make the pick. And keep in mind, like the $2 million prize is decided on this.
I'll put a Cincinnati guy in here for you, Jake.
Yeah, we're definitely not doing Tyler Scott here.
Oh, Sterling Shepard.
That you're
Yeah,
okay
I'd
with?
say either Shepard or Wilson, followed by Dortch, would be my pick.
I think Dortch is the second best wide receiver on the team. But
I think, yeah, I like.
we have
Dortch.
If
Redundant
Rondale Moore
to
goes
Rondale.
down, Greg Dortch is going to average like 15 fantasy points per game.
no, it's a new regime. You don't know that.
Oh yeah, that's fair. But they're both super tiny, so you could argue that.
All right, Wilson or Shepard, really quick, 5 seconds.
Wilson. Shepard's dead.
I'd go Wilson.
Yeah, let's go
Sorry.
Wilson.
Sorry, guys, I'm from the future.
I would've taken
the right
Corey
answer was
Davis, but
Sterling
fine.
Shepard. He scored. I know, but he scores 27 fantasy points in week 17.
Corey Davis is the nuts on Aaron Rodgers teams.
No,
Yeah.
it's Lazard.
He's the nuts.
Lazard's his boy.
Corey Davis is like a
Not
actually
good.
above average wide receiver.
No, he's
No. Is
Corey
he?
Davis is good, man. He's been really good.
I mean, good. To be fair, Chris is the guy who's watched every snap of Corey Davis over the last 2 years 7 times, so he would know better than me. He's good.
I think he's good.
He's
I
better
think he's
than
good on the
he's better
Titans.
than Garrett Wilson. You're saying
No,
he's going to be the wide receiver 1 for the Jets?
no.
That's a crazy take.
I think
Is he
he's
better than Lazard? Is he
yeah, I
comparable?
think he's better than Lazard.
oh, and look at that.
Wow.
Corey Davis was the next pick.
That was the $1 million decision we got wrong,
Mm.
ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, but you were at the Senior Bowl, Chris, sitting next to me. Michael Wilson looked pretty damn good.
Yeah, I do like Wilson a lot.
He looked uncoverable.
Yeah, I
Like
don't-
easily the best guy there.
Yeah, I think he's better. I think he's the second best wide receiver on the team. I don't trust the Cardinals to know that though right away.
Yeah. Well, he's their
Um,
only big body on the outside.
Yeah, he's literally the Is he like the only wide receiver above
6 feet.
6 feet? Yeah.
Literally above 6 feet, yeah, on the team. I just can't wait for him to have one. He's gonna have one game like week 3 where he goes like 5 for 85 and 1, and then he's gonna get hurt again. It's gonna happen. He's gonna break all of our hearts. This is a very, very interesting team. Do we want to recap this? I mean,
So we went solo
one QB,
5 running backs: Henry, Pierce, Mitchell, McKinnon, Mostert. 10 wide receivers.
Yep.
McLaurin, Hollywood, Tony, Michael Thomas, Sky Moore, Mingo, MVS, Mechie, Slayton, Michael Wilson, and then Kelsey and Hurst at tight end.
Just your casual 6-man.
All right, let's do a deep dive into the wide receivers. Imagine Kadarius and Thomas play 17 games. Game over. We just won it all.
We
Honestly,
we want them like spiking at different times. All these
Yeah.
Chiefs guys.
Tony's not the linchpin to this team. It's actually Michael Thomas.
Who does Kansas City play week 17, Chris?
Bengals.
Look at that. Look at that. I mean, I would have liked a little more Cincy guys. I'm a big Tyler Boyd fan. But yeah, imagine.
Gaslighting on a 10-2 tonight, Scott.
What?
Yeah, you're really on it today.
What if Kansas City has 7 special teams touchdowns, forcing a shootout, and Mahomes just goes nuclear?
And Sky Moore's the punt returner, and he has all of them, so we get all their punt return touchdowns.
So I'm trying to check real quick, but if I remember, BBM2 big stacks were actually much better than they were in BBM3. Let's see.
It's literally just the amount of stacked players you have. Like the more you increase it, the more likely you are to have a basically it creates enough variance to the point where you have the ability to, have a significantly higher leverage in the field.
Only having 5 unstacked players, 6 unstacked players, 7 unstacked players were 3 of the 4 highest finals advance rates 2 years ago.
Yeah. By the way, I did the same kind of study for MLB and the Dinger. Same thing, like big field tournaments, more stacked players, no matter the sport, leads to more leverage.
Yeah, and I imagine especially with the Chiefs' target shares being so flat after Kelsey, that just makes sense, even more sense to load up on these guys.
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of why I think it's weird. Is like I am expecting a big jump in target share for Kadarius relative to Juju last year, but you never know. Again, it's we have no backup quarterback, so it's like, okay, Mahomes smashes every week, but it's not a necessity that Kelsey is the top guy, or even Kelsey plus Tony. Like, how many times has it been in DFS where we nail Mahomes for a 4 touchdown, 400-yard game, but then it's, Mecole Hardman 2 touchdowns, or it's MVS 2 touchdowns. So yeah, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
2 years ago when Tampa was when you could basically get Antonio Brown for nothing, and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin went off with Brady and Fournette, 6-man Tampa Bay stacks had like a 50% advance rate. 7-man Tampa Bay stacks had 64. They weren't super common, so it's not a big sample size, but
well, that's the thing is you especially with teams like the Chiefs, with the Bills, Bengals to a certain extent, you just lean in. I mean, I love doing that with the Lions this year. I mean, the Lions have so many pieces, including like Josh Reynolds.
They're just not as cheap. Like the Chiefs are just all so cheap. Kelsey is the only skill player in the first 5 rounds.
Yeah.
So even if you don't get Kelsey, if you do Mahomes and all these guys, like they could all easily be good picks.
Yeah. Fun draft, boys.
Yeah, this is great.
The Jake Tribbey special draft.
Yep, I love it.
This team's definitely making the finals. Absolutely.
Can't wait to split $3 million with you fellas.
What are we gonna do?
It's gonna be a tax nightmare for you, Chris, by the way. So not envious that it's your account.
True.
Yeah, well, if you just don't hear from me for a while.
Chris is already down in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're good.
Sweet.
Yeah, you think so, Chris?
Yeah.
You want to send us out, Scott?
Oh, I guess that's me. I came in with the intro, so I gotta bring us out. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed today's draft. This is the $3 million winning team, so you don't need to keep drafting. It's done. This is the optimal team that, nothing's going to come close to this. I would like to thank my co-hosts and special guests today, Graham Barfield, Chris Wecht, Jake Tribbey, Fantasy Football Writer of the Year. And and I hope you enjoyed the Fantasy Points data demonstration that goes live July 17. It's free to use all week, but we would appreciate you paying for it. And that's it. That's all I got. So take us away, Thomas.